Do you guys agree that in any moment you could find the answer to any question? Whether it's on a podcast or YouTube or Google or a conversation or a search with ChatGPT, how many people feel like you have the answer to any question or problem at your fingertips? How many of you at times, or maybe a lot of the time, still feel really overwhelmed and you have no idea what to do? The pendulum has swung so far one way. We are inundated with information and knowledge, and it is time to get back to wisdom. And this is what I want to do with you guys during our time together, because, I think we've gotten this way in our lives, right? Like our lives are just so full from the second we wake up to the second we lay our head on the pillow. And then we wonder why we can't sleep. We are just go, 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 do, do, do. And the reality is we're human beings. And so I don't think this is, an equation of like either or, right? Either the information or the knowledge or getting back to the wisdom. But it's time to do both. Because not only is this showing up in our daily life, but this is now showing up in our health. How many are overwhelmed with all the information there is out there on how to live healthy lives? Raise your hands. More overwhelmed now than you were 10 years ago, right? Wake up and sun gaze. Do your gratitude practice, which we know is all super powerful and doesn't have to be long. Get your 1 hour workout in, get your meditation in, right? And then start your day. So I'm here to say that self-care needs a rebrand, because it's not just us that feels this way, but it's our patients, and it's our duty as practitioners to help get them from here, from living in beta brainwaves, the nervous system, back over here, and remembering the incredible power of their bodies, of their intuition, of the things that they know to be true. And what we're really going to do today is I'm going to teach you and remind you that self-care needs a rebrand. Self-care can no longer just be these 1 hour appointments and practices, because we don't always have time. Self-care is not just massages and bubble baths. Self-care needs a rebrand. Self-care, true self-care, is connection. And it happens through nervous system regulation. And it gives us the ability to move from our head to our hearts in the moments that it matters most. I want to ask, how many of you guys felt different after Ben's talk today? Okay. Would a few people tell me why you think that was? Why do you think you felt so different after Ben's talk? Uplifting. It gave you hope. He used gratitude very well. Reminder that we have the power within. What he spoke resonated truth. Was it truth outside of you, or did it light up the truth that you have in you? So did it feel easy, or did it feel hard after you heard Ben's talk? Easy. Was it something outside of you? Was it power over? Was it an external tool? Or was it something within you that he helps light up? All together now. Right, within. Is that something that you need to carve out a lot of time to turn on, or could you do that at any moment? You have access to the ability at any moment, right? And so these are the tools that we need to start to learn and understand to use ourselves and in our practice with our patients. I want to just share a quote that I love. It's one of my absolute favorite quotes. It's by Mother Teresa. And she says, if you want to heal the world, go home and be with your family. Have you guys heard that? I love that quote because you can apply it in so many areas of your life. In the last month when I felt like the world got crazy and I could catch myself getting distracted online and scrolling and getting into fight or flight and in my head and out of my heart, I always try to catch myself doing those things, and I'm like, how can I help, right? And we can't help from that place of living in our heads. How can I serve? The answer is always to get into my heart, right? And so Ben's talk, he didn't, I want to make sure the practitioners hear this. He didn't give you 100 protocols, right? It didn't matter if you're doing red light before or after, or IV or HBOT. He reminded you of who you are. And we have to start to do that with our patients, because so many of them are coming in feeling disconnected more than ever. They might be sitting there scrolling their phones and thinking the world is crazy. And now they're coming to you, they're inundated with information, and they don't know anything else but to look for more external things outside of them. We have outsourced our power, our time, our happiness, our ability to change how we feel, to everything outside of us. And we have to start to remind patients to get quiet and get small. Like Mother Teresa, not get small, but make it smaller, right? It starts with you. And so when a patient comes in and asks you, what do I do next? What do I do? Like, pause, and you help them get back into their hearts. And you help remind them of how powerful their system is. We are self-regulating and self-healing, and the nervous system is the master controller. And all you gotta do is shift people from their head to their heart. And the really cool thing about our nervous system is that we co-regulate. Have you ever been around someone who's so calm? Or who is completely present with you? Do you shift in that moment? Like, that's it, guys. That's all we gotta do. So I wanna make things super simple. That's what we're gonna do here today.
Self-care needs a rebrand, and that's exactly why I wrote this book, The Connection Code, and it's out now. I'm so excited. I wrote this for the woman who feels like she has lost herself or just simply needs a reminder that everything she's searching for is already inside of her. Inside this book, you're going to find simple, science-backed tools to help you reset in real-life moments, like in the carpool line or between back-to-back meetings, or maybe when you catch yourself unfortunately snapping at the people you love most. I designed the cover and made it playful on purpose because so many of us have lost this aspect of ourselves, and we need that invitation and reminder to bring back joy every single day. Pre-order your copy today, and you'll also get access to some amazing freebies to help you start regulating your nervous system and reconnecting with yourself right away.
And I want to start by sharing why this message is so important to me. So I am a recovering, rushing woman. Any other women in here that love to do it all? That maybe secretly feel a little proud when people are like, how do you get it all done? Like a little bit? That's me. So I guess about 8 years ago, well, probably much of my life, I've been a woman who loves to do it all. And Jason and I started a practice, I think 20 years ago at this time. We have a really busy wellness center in New Jersey, 5 chiropractors, massage therapists, acupuncture, counseling. We have a huge hyperbaric center. We have a training facility where doctors come from all over the world. Many of you guys have been there to learn HBOT. We've got a longevity lab. We have 28 staff members. And I was overseeing all of it. I was their HR. I was their friend. I was their boss. I was their landlord with Jason. I was also working full-time in the chiropractic practice, full load of patients. We have our 3 beautiful children, who at the time were 6, 4, and 1. Anyone relate to some version of that, right? Like the minute you start to the minute you stop, I know especially for many of the practitioners. I knew that I needed to take care of myself, right? We hear it, put your oxygen mask on before serving others. You can't take care of your patients or your family if you don't take care of yourself. Well, where was it gonna fit? There was nowhere for it to fit. So what did I do? I started getting up really early. And I decided to go to CrossFit. I love CrossFit. I've done it for a long time. But I've learned in hindsight that slamming coffee at 4:45 a.m. so I could go to 5 a.m. CrossFit and flip tires under bright, blinding lights was not the best way to take care of myself. And often in the mornings I would get these like little whispers. And I wonder if you guys have ever gotten these little whispers where my body was like, not today. Like, I'm tired, I need a break. Maybe where I was in my cycle, it just wasn't feeling right. But what do? We've become such experts at pushing those down, right? Because the world tells me, external voices tell me this is what I gotta do. So I'm gonna quiet this down, I'm gonna shove it, and I'm gonna go to CrossFit. So maybe I'll have more coffee so I could go. Same thing started to happen at night, right? So I'd get home from practice, from seeing patients. I get home to our 3 kids. Jason's still at work, so I'm making dinner. Same little whisper comes up. I need a break. I'm tired. I got to put my feet up. But, in my mind, having this need to take care of myself in that moment, the visual that popped up was like, well, I can't go lay on a massage table. I can't go take care of myself with these external tools that I'm taught are self-care. So I shoved that whisper down. Maybe I'd have a glass of wine so that I felt like I was doing something for myself. No judgment, but I needed better tools. And so I want everyone to really understand our nervous system is our intuition. It speaks in whispers, it speaks in signals, and it speaks in symptoms. And mine was telling me it needed more downtime. And so the body keeps the score. And what happens is when we don't listen to those whispers, it's not like we just push them down and they disappear. It's like pushing a beach ball under the water, and it's just gonna pop up at any time. And so what happened is my beach ball started to pop up. And I started to get some really gnarly symptoms. I started to get headaches, which I never get. I started to feel really tired, which is easy to say. I'm a mom with kids, and of course you're tired, but it was different. My head started to hurt really bad. At first it felt like I had bruises, but then it started to feel like I had shards of glass on my scalp. I couldn't handle my kids' voices. It felt like screaming if they were just talking to me. What else? Light hurt my eyes. I would find things like my keys in the fridge, like things that you could easily look at and think, oh, I went in the other room, I forgot what I was doing, but this was very different. I knew my body, this was very different. It started to get really scary when, sorry, this might hit me a little bit. It started to get really scary when I'd get lost on my way to work. Our office is 2 miles down the street from our house. We had literally built that practice, and I'd gone there every day, and I couldn't find my way to work. And then it got really scary when we were at our son's kindergarten graduation. And I looked up on that stage, and I couldn't recall my son's name. And so I knew something was really wrong. And I went to an urgent care one day. I was like, I need to go somewhere. I don't know if Jason was out of town. I needed someone to tell me what was going on. He tried to send me home. He told me I was a tired mom and that I needed to go home and get some rest. Definitely not happening with 3 kids. So thankfully, I know enough about the system, and I told him I was not leaving unless he ran my blood. And if he was not willing to do that, he had to put it in my chart. So I think about in those moments, what could have happened to somebody else, right? They would have gone home. They would have tried to rest, probably gotten really sick. The doctor called at some point and told me the results. I literally remember what I was doing when I got the results. Our 2 boys were running around. I was changing Adrada's diaper. She got up and crawled away, knocked over her diaper full of poop. And I'm getting the diagnosis, and I literally slid in poop. And it summed up everything. My life had fallen to shit. And and it can't when you have 3 little kids. The diagnosis was Lyme disease. We later found out that my co-infections were meningitis and encephalitis, and I had a double whammy of mold poisoning. So things had gotten really bad, and I set myself up for that final straw that broke the camel's back. I was living in fight or flight. I was living in sympathetic dominance. I wasn't resting, and whether it was Lyme or any other virus or anything, my system was just ready to get knocked down. And so we started to treat me. Jason took over my treatment. I remember him literally, Jason, do you remember this? I couldn't remember anything. So he literally wrote down all my supplements I had to take, and I had a daily checklist. I couldn't remember my kids' names, and now, again, practitioners, think about this. I had to take all these supplements. I had to do all these additional things to try to get better. It was really overwhelming and scary. And thank God I had the resources. So we delved hard into fasting, supplements, HBOT. I was able to bring our kids in there with me, thank God. But I think something that's really important to share here is, I found this picture on the plane and I added into this deck after the facts. You don't have it in there, but if you look closely, I had fake eyelashes on because I was trying to hide from the world how sick I felt. I was so scared and overwhelmed in that picture. When I found this on the plane, I started crying because you can't tell, You can't tell because I felt like I didn't have a choice. I had to keep pushing through. I had to take care of my family. You can see the massive bags under my eyes when you look close. And so just think of me if I were your patient, and think of, all the protocols and all the to-dos and all the things that could be so overwhelming. When in reality, what I really needed to do is shift into my nervous system, and that can be so simple. HBOT saved me. I would not be where I am now without it. And so I also want to highlight, I think as practitioners, we can make it so complicated. Like, what's the protocol? How long? What do we do? Just get them in there. When I would go in the chamber, my head would feel like it was on fire. And literally halfway through a session, like I could touch my head without pain, and I felt like the cobwebs were being cleared. It's an incredible, passive, relaxing modality. So during my journey, I learned two things. I learned that I needed a better way. I wasn't sure in this moment if I would get better. But I knew that if I did, I needed to rebrand self-care. I needed to find ways in the mornings to take better care of myself than flipping tires. And at night, when I desperately needed that break, I needed a way to figure it out. And so this is what I've spent the last 9 years just geeking out on. And this is what I want to teach you today. All right, so just some things I think we already know. We are drowning in information. Our patients are overwhelmed more than ever. Mental health is at record highs. A lot of this is actually due to digital overload. We need to remember healing doesn't come from doing more, it comes from nervous system regulation. Helping people get from their head to their hearts, yeah. The average adult makes 35,000 decisions a day. This is the one I really want you guys to hone in on. The average American checks our phone 96 times a day. Every time we check our phones, we go into survival state. We go into narrow focus, and to our nervous system, that's basically like our survival is threatened. That's kind of an extreme version, but we go into something called beta brainwave. And so, people were asking and talking a lot about the phones in the chambers yesterday. When we can just put our phones down, it gives us the opportunity to go into alpha and theta. And so, to give your patients that opportunity and that break in the chamber is one of the greatest gifts. To daydream, to rest, to relax. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Joe. So the journey we're going to go to together today, I'm going to teach you about going from dysregulation to regulation and repair. We basically talked about that. The problem, we're living in fight or flight. Our self-care has now become just one more thing on our massive to-do list. The pathway to healing is nervous system first, regulation, and rewiring. An amazing portal is HBOT. That is a macro tool. We've got these macro self-care tools. The 1 hour practice is incredible. But we've got to start to incorporate and give power to the micro, right? The moments where we shift from head to heart, and that we can do with our families or at any other time. So I'm going to talk about some of my favorite tools at the end. Those are my favorite things to talk about. All right, super simple. You guys know all this. Our nervous system functions like a gas and brake pedal. And currently, so many of us and our patients are just pounding on the gas, right? We're not giving those little breaks, those pulses. I mean, how many times have you guys caught yourself saying in the middle of the day, like, I'm fried, I'm tired, but I'll just push through till the end of the day, right? Or I'll push through and then I'll rest on the weekend. What we're doing when we do that is we are training our nervous system. Our nervous system learns through consistency. And so what happens is when we're constantly pushing the gas and living in beta, our do mode, our brain doesn't know how to relax when it finally gets the opportunity. And so microdosing connection, which is what we're going to talk about later on, is literally training your nervous system through those 1 minute, 2 minute spaces of time that we actually have access to, how to downshift and how to regulate, so that when we get to the end of the day, the nervous system is like, oh, I know this. This is familiar, and it knows how to quiet down. Healing cannot happen when we're living in fight or flight. Healing does not happen well when we're living in our heads. Okay, I want to talk about some of the science behind this, but I love kind of the other stuff better. This is essentially the polyvagal theory, and this is just a really good visual. Again, I like to keep things super simple, so I know I keep saying head, heart, head, heart. It's basically like what we're doing here is we're getting out of a chronic state of fight or flight, and we're getting into parasympathetics. We all know what parasympathetics are, right? All of the macro tools that we love and use and talk about, all of the self-care that we do, all of those things shift you into parasympathetics. They all work really well because just like Ben's talk, they turn you back on. Do we get that? Our body has the ability to heal itself. The nervous system regulation is the portal and the trigger. And so we can keep it super simple. Stop worrying so much about the protocols or what comes first or what comes second, right? Get people out of fight or flight and into parasympathetics. So this is basically just showing a visual where the green zone is where we feel connected. This is where we're living in our hearts. This is where our prefrontal cortex is activated, our amygdala is quiet. When we experience stress, healthy stress, right, we all feel it, we get dropped down into the yellow zone. So this is where we shift gears a little bit, the amygdala fires, our inner security guard is like, perceiving the threat, what do? We're meant to then either shift into, obviously, fighting, fleeing, or freezing, or we're meant to shift back into regulation. But I think, as all of us know, we don't do this, right? We stay in the yellow. This happened to me the other day in traffic. Someone cuts you off in traffic, for instance. You go into that instant fight or flight survival state. We're supposed to assess the situation. We're safe, so we move on. But sometimes we stay there, and when we stay there too long, we go down into the red zone, which is shut down, disconnection. All right, so what does this look like in real everyday life? When we are in our parasympathetics and healthy, obviously this is connection. This is great, lovely time with our family. Life feels good. When we are in sympathetic overdrive, it looks more like the middle girl. And then shutdown disconnection happens when we spend too much time in this chronic fight or flight and can lead to things like the doom scrolling. Okay, so how do we reliably help patients reach the healing zones? I actually want to get into the beauty of HBOT before we go into that. Okay, so these slides are super sciencey, but I want you guys to understand how powerful HBOT is as a tool for regulating the nervous system. So I'm going to share some of the science behind it. I'm going to keep it super simple. But HBOT basically increases oxygen. It activates baroreceptors and signals travels to the brainstem, activating our vagus nerve, which leads to instant relaxation. It helps increase parasympathetic nervous system, feeling calm, rest, and digest states. We shift instantly into healing mode. It enhances our peripheral nervous system activity. It promotes neuroplasticity. It boosts mitochondrial function, increasing energy, reducing oxidative stress. HBOT stimulates angiogenesis via VEGF. This is more of like a Dr. New topic, or Dr. Anju. Simply, clinical impact is our patients are going to have better cognition, emotional regulation, and parasympathetic tone. All right, this was a really cool study. It's linked in the slide. So this was, it was a randomized sham-controlled double-blind, and it revealed the effect of HBOT therapy on children 8 to 15 suffering from post-concussion syndrome. This is also linked in there. There was a significant increase in cognitive function. They had boosting synapse formation, mitochondrial resistance, blood flow, tangible improvements in how they think, process, and regulate their behavior. We all know, I think by now, that HBOT improves cerebral blood flow and autonomic regulation. The big thing I want you guys to see here is that it activates the anterior cingulate cortex, insula hippocampus, and prefrontal cortex. What does that mean? These are the areas of the brain that promote emotional balance, regulation, memory, and decision-making. All right, so in summary, the benefits of HBOT: massive cardiovascular benefits via the baroreflex. We are increasing vagal tone, increasing brain repair, increasing perfusion, circulation, leading to connection and healing. Essentially, HBOT isn't just oxygen under pressure, it is a reset button for the nervous system.
Hey, we'll get right back to the episode, but I want to share one of my favorite incredible tools with you. I'm all about sharing the tools that help make me feel as good as possible in the easiest way, right? So that's why I'm obsessed with the Sauna Space Glow Light. Our whole family loves it, and it's like having the benefits of morning and evening sunlight without having to step outside, especially when it's just not accessible, whether the weather is too cold or you're stuck at work all day. The red light therapy uses infrared technology to boost your energy, mood, and even your sleep. This is perfect for those days when you can't get outside but still want all the benefits of the natural light. I use this to start my day feeling grounded or to help me and our family wind down at night. It's so simple and easy to incorporate into your routine. If you've been wanting an easy way to bring the power of infrared technology into your life, check the links in the show description for my epic discount on Glow Light by Sauna Space. Now back to the show.
Why does this matter for mental health? This is the mental health track. What I want to become super clear is that a lot of the symptoms of mental health is nervous system dysregulation. We are living in a time of rising rates of anxiety, depression, and burnout, and we have got to help that pendulum swing back to help people get into regulation and connection, true self-care. Okay, so this is what I really wanted to get to. This is my favorite. So Patients often, do you guys ever experience patients feeling stressed out about getting to their appointments for their sessions or anything like that, like overwhelmed with yet another thing to do? So what I want to share now are the micro-moment tools of connection. These are the 2-minute tools to help regulate the nervous system. These tools, back in the day, I definitely didn't understand or trust that these were powerful tools. Again, we have outsourced all our power to the big heavy hitters. The science behind these tools are so strong. Again, remember, after you have a great workout, after you have an amazing session in the H-Bot, after you have an incredible connection with someone you love, the magic of that is your nervous system is regulated. And so how can we create that on our own? We can do it through breath, we can do it through play, we can do it through movement, we can do it through stillness, downshifting brainwaves. The way I like to teach this is I encourage people to do what I call regulation reps. This is 2 minutes, 3 times a day for you. So our nervous system learns through consistency and repetition. So we have these beautiful little moments and pockets of time in every one of our days, and we often don't think that there's a tool powerful enough, and so we waste that time by scrolling our phones, catching up on emails, and hitting more to-dos, when the reality is we can do so much in these minutes. So it's not about doing more, it's about having effective micro moments to help rewire our nervous system. I want to show in some of my life how we've made these shifts. You know, one of the biggest things I've gotten back to in my life is play. And I work with a lot of women, and a lot of women come to me with, you know, stress and overwhelm about how to regulate and balance their hormones. It's like in the age of information, we now know we've got to fix our hormones. We've got to work on our circadian rhythm and control our light. We've got to balance our blood sugar and lower our cortisol. But the cool thing is that play impacts all of those things. If you look at the hormonal hierarchy, oxytocin sits at the very top. Oxytocin impacts our hormones, impacts our blood sugar, impacts our metabolism, helps us sleep better. And we can boost oxytocin through connection and play. And so in the past, when I had those, you know, those moments with our kids at the end of the day where I didn't feel that I could take care of myself, and would just create more disconnection and stress, I've started to use these tools in those moments. So I want to share our new way that we do dinner. All right, so I feel, you guys, I want to apologize, like I am not my best self right now. My throat is throwing me big time, but here is what is so important to understand. Our patients need easier, simpler tools. And the best way that we can teach them and get them to understand this is by us doing the same. We so often forget about ourselves as practitioners. I had someone come up to me and ask me a question earlier. You know, they're supporting this patient, and I could just see this person was like in their head, like, do they do this, do they do that? What's the protocol? And this person that was asking me this question is one of the most present, beautiful humans. And I reminded this person that the way that you show up for your patients is creating the healing. Like, let's stop making it so freaking complicated. We have got to start recognizing the power of regulating our nervous system and co-regulating people. People are more disconnected, more overwhelmed, more chronic stress than ever. And there's so much that can be impacted in these small, simple moments. I went back to gymnastics at the age of 42, and I will tell you, it is one of the things that I get the most questions about from women in my community. They don't want to know about hormones anymore. They want to know, like, what is it that got you back to what you used to love? Tell me how to do that again. There's a woman that told me that she used to dream about being a rockette. She saw me speak on stage, and I told this story of how, I was a gymnast growing up, and I loved it. It was my favorite thing. And at the age of 11, I quit because I got scared to compete. I made team, and I quit. And I told this story about the dream that I let die, and how, in my life, there's so many moments that I think of that little girl and how I felt, and always wanted to go back to it, but I thought it was too late. I'm too busy. I don't have time. How could I do gymnastics, right? Well, I went back. I asked one of our kids' coaches if he would coach me, and I went back to gymnastics, and I competed in our kids' competition. I played the video at that talk. I didn't bring it here. I literally walk in the door. I walk home to Jason after these sessions, and I'm like, don't ever let me quit. Screw balancing my hormones, screw worrying about anyone else. This is the version that I want to show up to the world as. And so this woman saw me talk, and she's like, I've always wanted to be a rockette. I'm too short. I didn't get to do it. And this is how I support people these days. I'm like, keep it simple, right? You still want to be a rockette? Go on Amazon, get yourself that rockette outfit. And when no one's home, put it on, put on the rockette music in between your Zoom calls, kick, whatever it is. This is how we get back to who we are. And this is how, as women, we stop just living in our to-do list. We are human beings. And especially for the women in the room, our power and our essence is not in what we do, it's in who we be. Our partners need us. Our kids need us. Our community needs us, and they don't need us to just add more to-dos to our plate or theirs. They need us to turn our lights on again. That is our number one job. And it's so fun, and it's so easy, and it's my favorite thing to talk to people about. So if you have that thing that you used to do when you were little, and you want to get back, but you don't think you can, please come talk to me. When this woman sent me a picture, I don't have her permission, so I wouldn't. When she sent me a picture of her in her rockette outfit and this smile, whatever shit that woman has to do today when she had that on is gonna go just fine, right? She is bringing that energy to the day. That is what we're here to do. That is who we are here to be. And it starts with these micro moments and shifts. And so that was our night routine. Those are the things we do now instead. And you think about, that seems so subtle, but think about it. Think about the old way. My kids were freaking out. They need me. They're fighting. There's homework. I'm stressed. I'm probably losing myself over here in a glass of wine. Again, no judgment, but disconnect. And now it's screw it. Google, play a fun song. And that happens. When we feel that way, is our immune system stronger? Are we less inflamed? Are we boosting oxytocin? Are we balancing our hormones? Are we regulating our nervous system? Are we doing it all without having to escape our lives and our families and do another 1 hour macro outside of us routine? Or are we lighting up from within? Right? So again, the pendulum has swung too far. I'm not saying it's all or nothing and it has to go all the way over here, but let's settle somewhere in the middle. I just want to share morning routine example. In the past, I used to wake up and hit the to-dos, probably like many of you. I get a lot of questions on this. This is super simple. I was super overwhelmed by the 1 hour routines. I see all these people sharing on social media. I couldn't do it. How do I take care of myself? All I do now in the morning is I'm very aware of my light because I know that white and blue light throws you instantly into beta. This is something I didn't bring to the stage, but one of my favorite things to talk about. And all we gotta do is stay in alpha and theta in the morning. All you gotta do to do that is control your light. So we have red lights in our home. I do 5 minutes in red light. I light a candle. The frequency of a flame, of a candle flame, is alpha neurons. That's our heart. If you simply stare at a flame, your mirror neurons in your brain match alpha frequency, and you instantly go from your head to your heart. 5 minutes done. Our daughter does it with me. What is she learning? What is she watching? What is she feeling? It's so simple. I am, not in this moment, the healthiest mental, physical, spiritual place in my life as a 44-year-old woman that I've ever been in my life, and it's these tools that are getting me there. I was talking earlier about the gas and the brakes and how we need to have tools that give us the ability to pump the brakes throughout the day. This is microdosing connection. Takes 2 minutes. This is changing the game from feeling like you need a break, feeling like you can't focus on that email or that task, but just saying, I gotta push through until I can get to the end of the day and take that long break. This is the other way. We microdose connection. We microdose alpha brainwaves, and we do it through play. You can do it through nature. You can do it simply through expanding your gaze. If you take 2 minutes and put your devices down and look at something over 5 feet away from you for like 2 minutes, I go look at my lizards down the street all the time. That literally regulates your nervous system, puts you into alpha, which leads to peak performance for the rest of the day. You guys, these are simple, simple, powerful tools. Micro moments, they do not take time. They give us back the time that we need. This is how we start to feel empowered. This is how we start to turn our nervous systems back on, regulate. All these tools make HBOT more effective. The number one currency right now in our patient-doctor relationship, do you guys know what it is? Trust. It's trust. So how do you think your patients are gonna feel about your relationship when you give them and encourage them to take these tools to make their sessions work better? Or God forbid, to maybe even be able to spread their sessions a little bit more apart. It was really tricky for me to fit all of this into one talk. I wanted to share, the science behind HBOT. I wanted to share my connection tools. I talk about this everywhere on my platforms. If you guys want more information, please come talk to me. But the name of the game is no longer just giving all the power to the external tools. It's no longer thinking that we have to have these 1 hour time chunks to regulate our nervous systems. It's believing in the power of the macro and the micro, and that's what creates lasting connection. HBOT is one of the most powerful tools out there because it does all of this, and it does it passively. As a patient, as a mom, as a wife, as a clinician who was so sick, HBOT was my saving grace because I got to just lay there and relax and take it in. Putting these tools together is what creates sustainable healing and builds incredible trusting relationships in our community and with our patients. All right, lastly, I just wanted to share some really exciting news I haven't shared anywhere yet. I've loved using these tools. I share these tools on stage. I've always dreamed of writing a book and sharing my story and how to incorporate these tools simply. And I did that. I was approached by Hay House, and I am releasing my book, The Connection Code, here tonight on stage. Thank you. So my goal with this book is to empower, it's more for the women, guys, but when we're good, you're good, right? Right? Is to remind women how simple this can be. I blend science with the soul, but this is like the easiest self-care book that you will ever pick up that will move the needle in such a powerful way. And lastly, I wanted the cover to reflect that. My dream and vision is that there's like a woman out there on a beach chair reading a self-care book and super overwhelmed by all the to-dos, and then she looks over and some chick is reading my sparkly fun book. She's like, I want that. Because that's what it is. It's getting back to fun and getting back to who we are and lighting our light again from the inside out. So you guys can click the QR code and grab it and a freebie that I made just for you. Thank you, guys.